Hey, it's Bryan Dulaney. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I handled an unfaithful relationship. One day, I came back to San Diego, California. I got a call from my buddy who said, hey, just so you know, she's been cheating on you. So that's the situation I was in. I ended up writing a letter to her that really was divinely inspired, that completely transformed our relationship. Rather than destroy it and rather than self-destruct that relationship, God showed me that it needed to be transformed in a different way. And so I'm sharing that letter with you because if you've gone through that situation, or maybe you're going through that situation, or you may go into in that situation in the future, hopefully not, maybe this might bring some light to how to handle that situation. Because truly, I do believe that I had two choices. I could have destroyed the relationship and ended it altogether, or it could have been transformed. And at the time, God led me down the path of transformation. So let me talk about this whole journey. I met her, and we'll call her Karen. I met her coming back from Aspen, Colorado. So I was in Aspen, Colorado in about 2008. And I was working on some big affiliate campaigns. I had a partner there who was funding it all. And then we were working on creating a traffic program, teaching people how to get traffic from all types of different traffic sources. Now, my partners went to a mastermind and they told everyone about my idea. And this mastermind was full of a bunch of top marketers. I now call them and refer to them as the greedy gurus because they basically told my partners that we don't need another traffic product in the market. Now, guys, this is 2008. I mean, Instagram didn't even exist yet. Okay, so that was the farthest from the truth. They just didn't want more competition. Okay, they didn't want more money coming off the table, and they didn't want to have any more competitors in the marketplace. And that's really what it boils down to. There was more than enough to go around, but that's not the way they saw it. So I was in Aspen. I came back from Aspen, came home, ended that partnership in Aspen, came back home to Pennsylvania to kind of regroup, figure out what my next move was going to be. I wanted to build a brand. My partners just wanted to do affiliate marketing. And at the time I was in my mid-20s, affiliate marketing was great, doing $2,000 to $5,000 a day in commissions. That was awesome, but it wasn't the vision that I had for my future. I didn't feel fulfilled doing that. And so I went home, ended up meeting a girl there who we'll call Karen, to save her reputation. But I met Karen, we started dating. And then from there, I always wanted to live in San Diego. So I said, hey, Karen, what do you think about moving to San Diego? And so we ended up packing our bags, shipping all of our stuff, including our car. And we went out to California to live in San Diego, California. It was amazing. We had no clue where we were going to live. We just upped and left and let God guide the journey. And immediately getting to San Diego, I launched a blog network service. My buddy gave me access to his blog network with 1,000 websites. We were able to get links, take people's links, post content to it, and boost their rankings. It worked so well that it took off like a rocket. We went from literally zero in revenue to $70,000 a month in recurring cash flow with that one service in less than 90 days, and it was insane. I mean, I thought that I had struck gold. Imagine for a minute, you launch a campaign and it goes from zero to $70,000 a month, and that $70,000 a month is recurring. So every month you're just adding more and more and more, right? I knew in that moment that I could have taken it to $1 million a month. Just knew it. In fact, I had a few top marketers who I had given accounts to for free just to prove the value. I knew the value. I knew the network would have boosted their rankings, and I was literally just out of that case study phase to prove it to them. And some of them were like, man, this is working so great. I want to promote this. And they wanted to get in on the action. And then boom, Google comes in, their first animal update called Panda. Some of us remember that. Some of us who have been around long enough, right? This was back in 2012. And so Panda update came in, whacked out 100 websites a day over the course of 10 days. We lost 1,000 websites. Thankfully, they weren't mine. They were my buddies. Unfortunately for him, because he lost about $750,000 building that network. Now, thankfully for him, he had another network, private network, off to the side with another 1,000 websites. So it wasn't too bad for him, but still lost 1,000 websites, and I lost $70,000 a month in recurring cash flow. In that moment, it was devastating. Obviously, you can imagine. I was sitting down, we kind of chatting with Karen, and I said, we need to go regroup. We need to go rethink how we're going to move forward. And so we went to Hawaii for 2 months, and I absolutely love Hawaii. We spent 2 months in Hawaii to reset. And about the second or third night in Hawaii, I woke up in the middle of the night, and God gave me a vision of the perfect funnel system. Okay, funnels weren't a thing at this point in time. Think about this, guys. It's 2012. There was no ClickFunnels. We were using all types of other funnel builders. Infusionsoft was being used a lot by a lot of the top marketers, right? And God gave me a word. It was to teach people how to use webinars to sell information, and it specifically had to do with how I helped this guy, Bryan, launch an information product using webinars in which he generated $150,000 in 90 days with less than $5,000 out of pocket. And so God woke me up in the middle of the night, gave me this prompting. It's what I call them, promptings or downloads. And he prompted me to teach people what I was using to produce results in the expert business, right? Immediately got to work. I started creating a course, started mapping out my process, started mapping out my systems, my frameworks, the software I used to do it. And I created a course literally from the beaches in Hawaii. It was amazing. Started selling it from the beaches in Hawaii. And when I realized that it was a good idea was when I had some of the top marketers they were on my webinars, and they were buying the product. That's when I knew I was onto something. I said, oh, wow, like I have now people that I looked up to as mentors buying my program and selling it for $1,000. And it was amazing. So I kind of got back into a groove. Now, back in action mode, right? Making money, serving people, teaching. It was absolutely amazing. Came back from Hawaii after a 2-month hiatus on Maui and the Big Island, and just absolutely living it up there and having fun and relaxing and truly reset. A true reset. Takes about 2 weeks for me to really get into that space where you kind of shift, and everybody has a little bit of a different time frame for that, but it takes about 2 weeks for me, and so I was able to really reset. I mean, spend 2 months in a place, you'll reset too, right? So came back from San Diego, and I started speaking about the perfect funnel system. Started being asked to speak about it, and then I went to a mastermind that I was in, and I shared the perfect funnel system with everyone. And one of the guys there was like, man, I love what you're doing. Do you think you can help me? And he had a vacation company. I said, yeah, man, absolutely. Like, the perfect funnel system works for every business. Any business that wants to generate leads, convert sales, and create raving fans. So any business that wants to do that really needs a perfect funnel system. And so I sat down. He flew us out, Karen and I. We flew out to Florida, where their offices were and their resorts were, and we took a deep dive into their business and found all types of holes. I mean, they were leaving money on the table all over the place. And through that, ended up coming in, helping fill holes, brought team to the table, and we took them from 1.5 to 5.3 million in 6 months. And my vision was really to go to 100 million bucks. I mean, I had the vision for it. I saw the path to make it happen and make it reality, but they became complacent. And I was coming home from a trip from Florida over to San Diego, where Karen was, and she mainly stayed there at this point. I was coming back and forth, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. I came back. Karen was going off to an event over the weekend, and so she was heading out to Texas for an event, some health conference that she was doing. And my buddy calls me Friday night, and he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I said, "What's up, man?" And I was hanging up by myself at home, just relaxing. And he said, "Hey, man, I got some bad news." He said, "I've known this for a couple months, but, I didn't feel it was the right time. And now's the right time, and you need to know." He's like, "I would be remiss to not say something. Karen's been cheating on you. She's been cheating on you for several months now. I've known about it for a while, but you need to know." And what's interesting about that situation is that when I was in Florida, I was sitting around, and God whispered that into my spirit, that that was happening. And I remember when I was in Florida and I got that word, I remember thinking to myself at the time, well, if that's what happened, then that's what happened, and there's nothing I can do about it, right? I mean, there's nothing I can do about it at this point. Our relationship will shift in some way, shape, or form. I don't know how that would look. But it was interesting that God had given me a little bit of a preview. He dropped that in my spirit in Florida, came home, and I had no idea this was happening. I mean, I had no clues at all. There was no clues for me at all. I was completely oblivious. I was so focused on building this business and our business and our life that I had no clue that this was happening on the side while I was gone. And so my buddy and I, we talked for like 6 hours that night. I mean, we talked about everything that night, and got off the phone with him, and I was devastated, quite frankly, because me and her were together for 3 years. We made a huge move across the country, right? We did everything together. We worked together, we slept together, we played together, we worked out together. I mean, everything. We were practically connected at the hip. And so it was a devastating blow to find out that the girl that I was with, who I thought I was going to marry and have kids with, come to find out that she was unfaithful. And in the very beginning of the relationship, I told her, hey, listen, if you're ever unfaithful, then we won't be together in the same way or form as we are now. And I told her that in the very beginning of our relationship because she came from a relationship where her ex had cheated on her. Okay, and so I told her that that's not acceptable, right? That's not acceptable in a relationship. So I found myself in this place, right? I was absolutely devastated. It was a very emotional time. This was 2013. And so I went to the only place that I knew to go, and that was into Scripture, that was in prayer, meditation, that was to turn on worship, and that was really to shift my space, shift my mindset, and shift my spirit, because I was so connected. It was almost like I had to purge from her. And it was through that experience that God began to write through me, and that's this letter. This letter you can download on my website, bryandulaney.com, if you're not seeing this here, but there's a blog post where you'll see this video, and also you'll see the letter. You can download the letter, you can read the letter, and you can see the writings that I believe God wrote through me to then speak to Karen after she came back from that trip in Texas, where she was going through this health conference. And one of the words that God gave me, when you have something that happens in your life that's devastating, a devastating blow, and that's what it was, my best advice is to seek the Lord, to pray about it, to seek His face through prayer, through meditation, through Scripture, and through worship, and through counsel of other fellow believers. I was in the Word, and I was in the process of writing, and literally I wrote this letter over 3 days. And I wanted it to be inspired by God, so what I did was I prayed, and I said, God, please write through me. I don't have the words to say or speak. I'm going to need your help here. And so I would write, and then I'd stop when I was done, given instruction to write, and then I'd go do something else to distract myself. Go to the gym, do something. Go outside, go for a hike, do something. I'd come back, I'd pick up the letter, boom, I'd get another revelation, another word. I'd write more into the letter, and then I did that over 3 days until the letter was complete. Okay, that's the exact letter, word for word, that's on the website that you can download, you can read yourself. Through that experience, God said to me, be still, be at peace. I have someone better planned for you than you can think or imagine. And I remember hearing that and being like, there's no way. Like, how's that possible, right? Like when you're in something and you lose someone, you don't see anything outside of that experience. And that was where I was. I'd lost, a best friend. I'd lost, an intimate partner, and we were practically married. I mean, we were doing all the activities that a married couple would do. I mean, living together, sleeping together, working together, the whole 9 yards. And so we were practically married. So it's as if, it was as if, I was in that situation, although we weren't officially married. But I remember the peace that came over me, that the Scripture talks about, where it says the peace that surpasses all understanding. And that's the only way that I can explain it, because I had absolute peace from that experience. Now, fast forward, okay? She ended up coming home from her event. I then read her that letter, and after that, our relationship shifted. Okay, it could have been bad, could have went in a destructive pattern or path, which a lot of people I think would handle it that way. But God was showing me a different way to handle it, and that was going through a similar process that I talk about in my book, The Entrepreneur Evangelist, that I had to go through with my dad. Okay, and so in my book, I talk about this process that God had me go through when I was on my journey of figuring out my purpose. Why was I saved from death? Because you see, I died, came back to life, and then I went on a journey to find my purpose. And while I was on that journey finding my purpose, God showed me that I needed to go through a process of forgiveness with Him and with my Father. Now, ironically, that was in 2005. I went through that process and that journey. And then now I'm 2013, I had to go through the same process again with Karen. And I truly believe that the relationship was able to shift in a positive way. I continued to allow her to work for me and help our business. And we continued to have a friendship, but we shifted out of a romantic relationship. And a lot of people didn't really understand that relationship dynamic. They couldn't wrap their head around it because of what happened. But you know, I was listening to God and listening to what God wanted me to do in return in terms of that relationship. And I remember at the time God telling me that I needed to go through that experience with my dad, but I also needed to go through it from an intimate relationship perspective because it's different, right? It's different, you know, from your mom, your dad, your siblings, your brother, you know, your cousins. It's different going through that process than it is going through a process with someone who's an intimate partner. So if you want to learn more about the process, I recommend grabbing my book. It's free. You can get a free copy at entrepreneurevangelist.com or launchexpertise.com. Okay, so now fast forward from that. Okay, 3 years later, I was in Kauai, Hawaii with my dad. We were walking the beaches of Hanalei Bay, which is another video and another story. But that's where I ended up meeting my wife. I actually met my wife on the beaches in Kauai, Hawaii, after an amazing day with my dad, kayaking a mile back into the jungles, going to the secret falls, hiking a mile barefoot. It was an absolute memorable day that I'll share with you at another time. But I would encourage you to read the letter. This is a letter that God inspired me to write and go through it from a different perspective, a different light, and handle the relationship differently. Rather than destroying the relationship after finding out that she was unfaithful several times, not just once, but several times, our relationship was completely transformed and it shifted in a healthy way. And so as I was going through this journey myself, I remember God telling me that it was important that I go through it differently than most people would, because at one point in my future, I would have the opportunity to share that story with other people, and now is the time. This book is now published. 2013, this book wasn't published. This book is brand new, hot off the shelf, just got published, and it's probably the most important work that I have released yet over my 16-year journey of marketing on the internet. And so I would highly encourage you to get it. It's free. You can get the audiobook as well and listen to it instantly. But grab the book, and in it, it contains the secrets that I believe have allowed me to create the success that I've been able to create to become the top 1% of all marketers and funnel experts in the world, like Tony Robbins recognized me as I was receiving the top affiliate award for being the top 5 affiliates for, out of thousands of affiliates. I don't think that would have happened if it wasn't for the information that I share within the pages of this book. And I know it'll transform your life, whether it's business or relationships like I had to go through with Karen. It applies to both. Okay, so grab a copy. You can go to entrepreneurevangelist.com or launchexpertise.com, and you'll find a place and a path to buy the book from there as well.